Hello everybody, this is going to be a tutorial that is going to help you to understand how to grade papers in Canvas. Essentially, we're going to discuss the concept of a rubric, how to create a rubric, and how to use the rubric in Canvas. And then we're also going to talk about the different grading features that are present so that you can make comments in Canvas. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to actually go to your assignment. I made a pretend module here called Sandbox, and I made a pretend assignment here. So I'm going to click on that assignment. And I'm in my editing mode. I'm going to look down here and see that there's a rubric option. So you'll click on rubric. And in the rubric, you have the option of creating a rubric or finding a rubric that you've already created. So I'm going to quickly show you how to create a rubric. So we'll do a title, Sandbox, which is meaning it's just something that we're going to play around with, Sandbox College Essay. So that's going to be the name of the rubric. Now I'm going to give it different criteria. So I'm going to name the criteria. So the first one is going to be focus. So then I'm going to make my description, and I'm going to say something to the effect of satisfies the prompt with an awareness of task and subject. Something like that, okay? So I'm going to update that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how many different columns I want. So I have to think to myself, maybe when I grade this paper, I'm going to make focus worth 10 points, okay? So I would add an additional column here, and I would have, we're going to update it. We're going to make it worth 10 points. Not 310. We're going to update it. We're going to make it worth 10 points. We're going to update it. And now we'll have 10 points here will be the big one. I'm going to edit this and make this 5 points. Update that. And then the last one will be 0 points. So if I were to, maybe I would do mastery. And I would say something to the effect of, you demonstrated a mastery in your thesis development, something like that. So update that. That person gets 10 points. I'm going to edit here, and I'm going to write proficient. And I'm going to say your thesis was well developed, but you need a little more practice with it, something like that. However you want to word it. How about clearly wording your purpose? Okay, so we'll update that, and then we'll do the third column, which would be basic, which would be you need more support in understanding your task and topic when developing your thesis, something like that. Okay, so however you want to word it. So we're going to update that. All right, so now I have my 3 columns, and then I'm going to create a different criteria. So I go in, new criteria, and we'll say content. My long description will be proves thesis through appropriate use of source authority. Okay. So you're going to create that, and again, I want this to be 3 columns. To match my other columns. We'll give it 10 points, update the rating. We'll go in here, edit this one, make this worth 5 points. So now I'm starting to get columns that are going to match my other stuff. So I go in here, and again, the idea is I'm following it, and this is mastery. You utilized appropriate source authority to prove your thesis statement. Okay, update, great. We're going to go here, and we're going to say proficient. You did a good job of proving your argument, but you could have chosen stronger examples, whatever. Update it, and then we go here, basic. You lack an understanding of how to use research or use data and use source authority to properly prove your purpose. Okay, fine. However you want to word it, right? So now what you're going to see is that it actually has different things. And you can do this for however many topics you want to do, okay? And then when you go to click right down here, you then have things. You can write free-form comments when assessing students. You can use this rubric for grading, however you want to do it, okay? If you do the free comments here, then you don't have those categories. And if you don't want to do that, then you will have the categories, okay? So then you create your rubric. And then when you go to grade the paper, it'll come up like this, okay? Now let's change it a little bit. We're going to get rid of this rubric because we're going to actually use one that was already created, okay? So that was an example of how to make one. Now let's use one that was already created. So I'm just going to go into Find a Rubric and College Essay Rubric. So I already have a rubric that is already written, already picked out. So I'm just going to choose that. Find existing rubric, that's the one I want. Use this rubric. Okay, so now this is my rubric with my different categories. Okay, so I have an essay, I've got focus, content, whatever. These are the different things that I'm looking at. So now I'm going to actually go into the Speedgrader. And now what you're going to see is this is an essay that a student would have submitted. Okay, so this is not a text box. This is an actual outside document that was submitted. And now I'm going to go through the different functions that are at the top to help you out. So the first thing is you have this toggle here, which will allow you to go from first page to second page. You have this option that can help if your eyesight's going and you want it to be larger, or if you're working on your phone. This can actually make it so that it's the whole page so that you don't actually see the rubric anymore, or that side of the grading on it anymore. This makes sure that you're in pointer mode. So when you are up here, you can work within the text, okay? So that you can actually, you know, select different things, so on and so forth. This right here gives you a point of annotation. So wherever you find something, you want to put a little mark there. Now you can go over here and you can leave a comment. Now I'm going to also show you a workaround for using comments, but first let me help you through all the different toggles. So you have this right here that you can use. We also have a highlighting, so you can highlight it. Gotta pick a color. Get rid of this. Okay. So now we're going to highlight. So now I'm in pink, and I can just highlight it, and then I can actually click on this, and that again will give me a comment box. But I'm going to actually get rid of that. Here you can actually do like a text box. So if you want to have it like written above it, and then you can actually change your color. So if blue represents focus, or green is grammar, you could add that stuff in. I'm going to get rid of that. Then you have strike through. So if I'm like, nope, I don't like that, I can strike through it, and then I can explain, you know, the reason why. I can leave my comments here, so on and so forth. So I'll get through that. And then this is a free drawing thing, so I could just be like, no. This one's really hard. But if you have a touch screen device that you're using with one of those, you know, those felt tip pens that you can use, stylus pens you can use, then writing on it would actually work. Now, what I like to do when I grade my stuff, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff here. Okay, it doesn't want to get rid of it. There we go. Delete. Are you sure? Yes. Oh, delete the annotation. Okay. So now what I like to do is I like to use an add-on. It's an extension, and it's called Permanent Clipboard, because one of the big complaints that I hear from my colleagues is that they don't like grading in an electronic thing because they like to have their comments. But what I also hear from my colleagues is that they say the same thing over and over and over and over again. Okay. So what I like to use is this add-on here, this extension, Permanent Clipboard, which kind of saves it for, makes things easier. I'm a big fan of adding these little toggles here that can then leave a comment so that they can kind of go through. And again, I can change any color of it, right? So I put the little note here, and then I come over, and then what you do is you go up to your permanent clipboard, and your permanent clipboard, you just take a few minutes and you'll actually set up your comments. So here I already have the introduction comment. So it says, try to be more creative with the way you start the paper so that the readers engage and invested your paper from the very first line. Or I can go to my thesis, and my thesis says your thesis doesn't address the prompt, as the paper is about the factors, not the people. This is a specific research paper that I was doing. You can do awkward wording. I mean, how many times do you write awkward wording? So now it says awkwardly worded sentence. And essentially all you have to do is you click on it, and then when you go to click onto your box, you just paste it, and now all the comments are there. Okay, so, and again, this works with anything, any function. I just go up. I know that this is an issue, and you can have this. You can have it set so that this is open for you, and incorrect work cited. So I go into my box, boom, paste, and now my words are there. Okay. So these are just different ways that you can utilize it. Now, if you want to go to the actual rubric and actually start to get points into it, so here's how you mark it up. Use these functions. You can actually click over here for your actual rubric, and your rubric will pop up. You can take this guy over here, slide him over, and then you can see all of your little comments. Okay, so I can look at it and be like, all right, you got this, 15 point shows up there, got that, got this, got this, got that, and then I can also, it tallies it for me. Then I can also go in here and add additional comments. Please come to clinic for help with this. Or I could link like a URL address to it that might be from a different lesson. Maybe I had a lesson that explained this thing specifically, so I could just click the URL in there, and then right from the rubric, it could send them over to their what the things that needed to be. And when they go into their comments, they would actually see the comments on here. Once I hit save, I can also add more comments here, and I can do it verbally, which takes some time. I can add an attachment. I can add a link, a video. So if there's a link here that I want to show them, maybe there's a lot of compound sentence issues. So I put a hyperlink to a compound sentence lesson. They can watch it there, put my grade in, and then move on, and then shoot on over to the next kid. All right, so hopefully that helps you a little bit with the different functions in Canvas. And ask me any questions if you have any.